podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AI Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our quick publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AI Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AI Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms. Just head on over to AnfieldIndexPro.com and get started today.
Hello and welcome to the Daily Red, your lunchtime catch-up on all things Liverpool FC. And despite yesterday's disappointment, your daily reminder that the Reds are top of the league and 6 points clear at the top of the league with a game in hand, a game away to Everton, which you would expect us to take at least a point. So while yesterday was pretty disastrous, we didn't lose the game and the sky has not fallen in on us. We're still top and nothing has changed. Both Arsenal and Chelsea, who so many people seemed worried about a few weeks ago, also dropped points at the weekend. Arsenal went to Brighton and drew. Chelsea went to Crystal Palace and drew. Yes, we drew with a bad Manchester United team. But let's have some perspective on this. When they were dominant, when they were winning league titles year in and year out, and let's not forget how dominant they were. Let's not overlook the fact that we've never seen a team dominate the English top flight the way they did. Alex Ferguson's Manchester United were just an unstoppable force for 20 years. They won the Premier League in 93, 94. They came second on goal difference in 95, or maybe it was by a point. They won it in 96. They won it in 97. They won it in 98. Sorry, they didn't win it in 98. They didn't win it in 98. But they won it in 99. They won it in 2000. They won it in 2001. They won it in 03. They won it in 06. They won it in 07. They won it in 09. They won it in 11 and they won it in 13. Like, that's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous how dominant they were. 13 league titles in 21 seasons. And it's not just that they won 13 league titles. That year in 95, they lost it by a point. They had the better goal difference. They lost it by a point in 95. You know, we talk about taking things to the final day, which needs to stop. We need to stop celebrating second place. But there's a point away from 14 titles. In 98, they came second, again by a point, again with better goal difference. So now you're 2 points away from 15 titles. And then in 2012, everybody remembers the Aguero moment. They lose it on goal difference. 2 points. 2 points and goals away from 16 titles. And I'm pretty certain there's another year where they lose it by a point. Was it 2010? Yes, 2010. They lose it by a point. Now, they had a worse goal difference that year, so they really would have needed 2 points. But still, we're talking about 5 points overall. If they'd taken a point more in 12, 2 points more in 2010, a point more in 08, and a point more, in 98, and a point more in 95. 5 more points would have meant 17 league titles. 17 league titles in 21 years. That type of dominant greatness we haven't seen. And as bad as we were in that time, and we were horrible, absolutely horrible, for many years there, we still caused them problems regularly. Not just at Anfield, but at Old Trafford as well. We would go and cause them trouble. Like, everybody remembers the 95-96 season when Cantona comes back from suspension. Obviously, they win the double that year. But Cantona comes back on the 1st of October. We go there and get a 2-2 draw. We get a 2-2 draw that season. We finished a distant third. We were not particularly good. We had Fowler and McManaman. That was really it. And that was constantly what we would do. We would turn up against them and give them problems. So they've done the same thing to us. And part of it is them getting up for game. And part of it is us not playing to our full potential, which we've done under Jurgen a number of times against them, including 3 times last season. Let's not forget, we didn't beat them in any of the 3 games last season. They knocked us out of the cup and got 2 draws in the league. All games we dominated. Now, we didn't dominate yesterday. We did not dominate yesterday. But this idea that they were the better team isn't really founded in any sort of facts at all. Like, they played well. We played badly. But they didn't dominate the game. We had more possession, more shots on target, a far higher XG than them. They fouled more. They got more yellow cards, which is a sign that they're struggling to stay in the games at different points. This idea that they were better than us simply isn't true. They played well. They played above their level. But the only reason that game was a draw is because we played down to their level. We cost ourselves 2 points yesterday. Simple as that. We cost ourselves yesterday. And obviously the biggest talking point coming out of the game for a lot of Liverpool fans is the performance of Trent. The lack of effort. And I've had to just stop going on social media today because all I kept seeing was more and more clips of him ambling from different points in the game. And Carragher and Neville made the point after the game that the very first time Diogo Dalot got the ball, he just went to Trent. And I said this on Raw yesterday. You don't mind seeing your fullback getting roasted by a top winger. Like, if an elite level winger just decimates your fullback, sometimes you just have to say, you know what, fair enough. That's a great player at the peak of their powers. Credit to them. We've seen Trent get roasted by Kvicha Kvaratskhelia, by Vinicius Jr., by Marcus Rashford, by Heung-min Son. A couple of others, Martinelli before Arteta ruined him. We've seen wingers absolutely roast Trent. It's happened. The kid's been in the team for a long time now. It was bound to happen, at different points. It happens to all fullbacks. Only the truly great defensive fullbacks won't have a litany of games where they got absolutely rinsed. I mean, Gary Neville wasn't a great defensive fullback, but he was a good defensive fullback. He got rinsed many, many times, and he'd admit that himself. Cafu got rinsed on a regular basis. Dani Alves got rinsed on a regular basis. Roberto Carlos got rinsed on a regular basis. Marcelo, Jordi Alba, Philippe Lam got rinsed, not on a regular basis, but he got rinsed a few times. Same with Zanetti. Same with Thuram. Ashley Cole got rinsed a few times. Dennis Irwin got rinsed a few times. Maldini, maybe not. I'm sure at some point in his career, obviously before he was in his late 30s, but, you know, when he was at his peak, I'm sure somebody rinsed him once or twice. I know there's a game, if I can think, against Torino, when Gianluigi Lentini, who Milan would later buy for world record fee, came from left wing to right wing and gave him all kinds of trouble, and was one of the things that prompted Milan to go and spend a world record fee on him. So it happens, right? You deal with it. You deal with the fact that sometimes great wingers will absolutely rinse a fullback, no matter how good the fullback is. But he got rinsed by Diogo Dalot. Diogo Dalot, he's not even a wing-back. He's a fullback. He's primarily a defensive fullback. And he was playing on his weaker side. And all he's done since he's played there under Ruben Amorim is turn back inside on his right foot. That's all he's done. Until he saw Trent and his eyes lit up. It was like a kid at Christmas time. Santa has been and gone, but Diogo Dalot got his present yesterday. He saw Trent and he thought, I'm going to make my money. Someone's paying me after this game. And he abused Trent. Whether it was dribbling past him, running behind him, cutting on his in, it didn't matter. Everything he did, it worked for him. And when it wasn't Diogo Dalot rinsing him, it was Bruno Fernandes, who has no pace. Guy can't run. He's still running away from Trent. Oh. And there's just clips galore. You can't be getting rinsed by Diogo Dalot. I don't care what's going on in your head. At some point, pride has to kick in. Like, I get that your head's a little bit all over the place right now. I get that there's tons of noise. You can't be getting rinsed by Diogo Dalot, Trent. Surely you've got pride in yourself. Even if you've decided you're going to Real Madrid. Even if you've decided that you're checked out of Liverpool. And I'm not saying you have, but maybe you have. But even if that's the case, clearly you've got some sort of self-pride. Where when the fucking fullback rinses you the first time, you think, that's not happening again. That's not happening again. I'm going to put in the effort and I'm going to make sure he doesn't make a fucking show of me. But you didn't. You got progressively worse. I tweeted with about 10 minutes left in the first half. Trent was having an absolute stinker defensively. I didn't think it would get worse after the break. He came out after the break, the first 10 minutes, and nothing shy of a disgrace. They're nothing shy of a disgrace. He should have been taken off. He should have been hauled off the pitch. It was embarrassing. It was absolutely embarrassing how little the fella seemed to care yesterday. Didn't care about himself, didn't care about his teammates. Horrendous body language. Just didn't give a shit. No effort. Oh. And you know what? We've had this with Trent before. Not to this extent. This is the worst game he has ever had. And I don't really think it's close. But we've had games where he's just been really lazy defensively. We had seasons of it. 22, 23, 23, 24. He just couldn't have given a shit defensively. But he made up for it. Most times he made up for it. by being great on the ball. And you just sort of live with it. Yesterday, he was atrocious on the ball. And I wouldn't mind, but the first 15 minutes, defensively, a train wreck. But on the ball, he looked like he was bang on it. And you thought, okay, it's going to be one of those games. It's going to be one of those games. And it wasn't. It was just so much worse. It was worse than you could ever imagine it being. But you know, I watched Neville, Carragher, Sturridge and Keane discuss largely Trent, but the three players, but the focus was on Trent because obviously it was his performance. There was the issue yesterday. And in the most aggressive way possible, they all agreed with each other. It was very funny to watch. But I thought they all made some good points. I don't like when Carragher, who's an Everton fan, speaks to the Liverpool fan base. I don't care that he says he's converted. You are what you are. And, like, just own it. Like, no one has an issue if you just come out and admit that you're an Evertonian. You grew up an Evertonian. You were an Evertonian all the way through the Liverpool Academy. You were an Evertonian and you broke into the first team. You've told stories about how when you were with the first team, you were out warming up, I think, at half-time, and you were relaying the score of the Everton game to your dad in the stands. That's fine. Like, no one cares anymore. Your career is done. You know, you are an Evertonian, ultimately. Like, you don't change who you support at 20. You just don't. So that's fine. Like, no one cares. You are who you are. Congrats to you. You had a great career for us.
This is MLS and U.S. soccer commentator Brian Dunseth here to tell you the only podcast you need to fulfill your weekly soccer needs. It's Week in the Tackle.
And I'm Tom Rennie. We'll talk the Premier League title race, the Champions League, MLS expansionism, and the ongoing disappointments of our respective teams. It's all on Week in the Tackle.
Didn't your West Ham just win a European trophy?
Ah, that night in Prague. Sorry, what were we talking about?
A Week in the Tackle available wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe today so you don't miss a single episode.
I don't need a VPN. I've got nothing to hide. Ha. This is what I used to tell myself before I hooked up with LibertyShield.com. Not only is my home internet now fully encrypted, but I can now access all the websites I want, whenever I want, and do so from absolutely anywhere. As a Liverpool fan, I love to know I can now watch every match, regardless of whether it's on UK TV or not. My Liberty Shield VPN makes sure nothing is blocked and guarantees me super fast streaming speed throughout that match. You can get connected right now with their software package, which includes a 48-hour no-obligation free trial and instant access to their apps for Apple, Android, Fire TV, PC, Mac and Android TV. Or go a step further like I have and get one of their pre-configured VPN routers. These small but powerful devices allow you to easily connect every device in your home to VPN, making it the perfect solution for smart TVs, Mac boxes, and games consoles. Visit LibertyShield.com today and use coupon code AIVPN25 to get 25% off at checkout.
And you're doing really well with Sky, even if you drive most of us nuts and come out with some batshit stuff about Mo Salah being selfish. But I did agree with a lot of what he said yesterday. Like, I really did. I fully agreed with what he said about Trent. In terms of Trent knew those bids from Real were coming. They knew. His team knew. And in all likelihood, they encouraged those bids. I disagree with him when he says about, you know, Fowler and McManaman and Owen left. And it's very clear neither of them are Liverpool legends with the fan base. Like, they did incredible things in the shirt, which so often gets overlooked. And it is painful because they were great for us. They were genuinely great. But he says that Trent will go down a legend regardless, and if he leaves in a free, it's fine. It just isn't. And he was making a point about how, you know, when McManaman and Owen left, Liverpool weren't the best team. Now they are. That makes it worse, by the way, Jamie. It makes it worse. that he's leaving when the team is this good. McManaman, you can actually excuse him going because the team was crap. And he'd been let down over and over and over again. And the club had tried to sell him behind his back to Barcelona. I'm pretty sure you were in the squad at the time. So you were there for that. You know that happened. He's talked about it himself. The club tried to sell him to Barca. He got the hump and thought, right, well, fuck yous, I'm going to go on a free. You failed me, now I'm just going to walk. The club had let Owen down as well. And the club hadn't looked after Owen properly when he had his injuries either. And it badly affected the trajectory of his career. Michael Owen at 17, 18, 19, 20 was Kylian Mbappe of his time. Possibly better. But when his hamstring exploded, he didn't get the surgery. And that was, by all accounts, that was a club decision. So he ended up with a funky hamstring that would affect the rest of his career. But Owen left when we didn't look like we were going to do it. We'd finished fourth. Rafa had come in. Owen didn't really suit Rafa's style of play. We didn't look like we were going anywhere. Nobody thought we were going to win the European Cup in 2005. Owen leaving was understandable. I get that it's Real Madrid, and I get that they are the biggest club in the world, and I've said it 1,000 times myself. I understand most players wanting to go to Real Madrid, but there's a way to do this. Like, if Trent was to sign a new deal, and let's say it was a 2-year contract or 3-year contract that had a release clause specifically for Real Madrid that was, I don't know, 50 million, 60 million. Below what he's worth, obviously, but much better than free. And he, let's say, gave us 1 more year and then left. I don't think anyone would have an issue with it. If he did what Alexis did and signed a new deal with an agreement that, yeah, in the summer you can go to Real. We'll sit down with Real. We'll thrash it out. We won't charge, the sun, moon, and the stars. The same way Brighton did with Alexis. We'll do a deal at 55 to 60. But we have to get a fee for you. But we understand you want to go. This works for everybody. Nobody would have much of an issue then. Especially if he did recommit and give himself entirely to this charge for the title. Nobody would have an issue. He would leave with everybody's best wishes if he left through the front door. Ian Rush, in the 80s, left through the front door to go to Juve. We got an enormous fee for him. And when he came back a year later, or whatever, it was a year and a half later, he was welcomed back because he left the right way. Like, Gary Neville was trying to make the comparison between Beckham and Trent. Beckham left the right way. And Beckham also had fallen out with Ferguson and was kind of been pushed out the door as well, which Neville neglected to mention because, Perish the thought he ever criticised Sir Alex. There's a right way to do it and a wrong way to do it. And the way Trent is going about this is the wrong way. And that performance yesterday was an outrage. It was an absolute outrage. And like Roy Keane is there at half-time saying, we're talking about Trent going to Real Madrid. If he keeps playing like this, he's going to go to Tranmere. And then Tranmere come at him saying, no, you're all right, thanks. Like, what the fuck? But here's the thing. If a United player, when Keane was captain, had put in that performance, the United players would be having a meeting today with that player, with no coaches in the room. And they would be laying it out to him. And you could see with Virgil yesterday, he was all over Trent multiple times. And when he gives that ball away in the 81st minute and Virgil has to dig us out of a hole, he just had nothing left to say to him. He'd given up on him. He'd given up on Trent. And let's be clear, Trent isn't the only one that had a bad game yesterday. Like, Robbo was bad yesterday and at fault for their second goal. Gravenberch was really poor off the ball. He had some lovely moments on the ball with his ball carrying. His passing wasn't great. But off the ball, he was hopeless. And he was partly at fault in their first goal. When we were talking about Unroll last night, I had it in my head that he was the on-ball defender, but he wasn't. Alexis was. So it starts with Gravenberch is on Mainu, Trent is on Bruno, and Trent is the on-ball defender, and Alexis has Lisandro Martinez. So you've got 6 players, you have 3v3 matchup. Mainu comes left side as Bruno dribbles centrally. Now, the defenders there switch. So Trent goes on to Mainu, and Bruno now becomes Gravenberch's man. But Gravenberch and Alexis then switch, and Alexis steps out to Gravenberch, which does mean Lisandro Martinez becomes... Alexis steps out to Fernandez, which means that Lisandro Martinez becomes the responsibility of Ryan Gravenberch. And he pays him no attention. Now, Trent is even better positioned because he's behind Gravenberch and he can see where Martinez is. Gravenberch doesn't have the awareness of where Martinez is because he's still focused on the ball. And when that pass gets played, Gravenberch doesn't react like he knows there's a fella behind him. He just lets the ball go. The problem is that Trent doesn't react either. So they're both to blame for that goal. But it is more on Trent because Ellie, the pass is what gives the ball away and starts the whole thing. B, when he first squares up Fernandez, his posture's horrendous. Like, he's straight up. He's not in a crouch. He's not moving his feet. And then, like, he sleuthers. Sleuthering is basically, imagine a sloth slithering. That's a sleuther. He sleuthers across with no aim to do anything and then just kind of stands looking at the whole thing. So more of the blame is on Trent, but Gravenberch, that was kind of, one of a multitude of moments where he was absolutely horrible off the ball. Again, he had some wonderful dribbles on the ball. They just didn't lead to anything, but that wasn't his fault. So he didn't have a good game. Curtis had a horrible game. Curtis was really poor. Diaz was pretty poor yesterday. And Cody was quite poor. And I know Cody got the goal, but there was a reason Arne Slot was about to take him off just before he scored. Like, there was a reason. He wasn't playing well. So you've got Trent, Alexis, Gravenberch, Jones, Gakpo, and Diaz all playing poorly. And I've seen some people criticize Alisson. I'm not really sure why. Like, nobody's saving that first goal. Nobody. The second one, yeah, maybe he could do better, but he clearly gambles on the fact that he thinks Diallo's going to make good contact with the ball and either hit it up or to his right, not scuff it through Robertson's legs. Ibu was very good, especially having to defend basically 3 positions with a knee that's clearly not fully ready. He was goosed by the end. Virgil was excellent. Like, Virgil was outstanding yesterday. Alexis was outstanding. Alexis was playing in midfield by himself for large portions of the game. We missed Szoboszlai massively yesterday. And of the attack, I thought Mo was the only one that played well. And even then, he wasn't great. Like, he wasn't at his best, but he did play well. He was very unlucky not to have at least one assist. But too many lads played badly. But the thing is, Robertson played badly, but he put in the effort. Gravenberch played badly, but he did some really... Gravenberch didn't play badly, but he did. But he had some really good moments on the ball. There was real positives to take from what he did. There was nothing positive to take from the Jones performance, but he did put in some effort. Same with Diaz, same with Cody, and Cody scored. There's nothing positive you can say about Trent. There's nothing positive you can say about him. His hair looked nice. That might be about it. So I kind of feel like there might need to be a little bit of intervention here with him, where the senior pros need to sit him down and say, look, nothing leaves the room. It's just the senior players, maybe. Virgil, Ali, Robertson, Mo. Maybe that's it. Maybe those four. Maybe they sit him down and they say, what the fuck? Like, where's your head right now? Because if it's in Madrid, go home and stay home. We're better off without you if your head's in Madrid. If you've decided that you're going to go to Madrid, but you're fully committed to going with another league title medal, then let's get around you. Let's build a wall around you. Block out the noise. We'll stand for you. We'll protect you. We'll deflect all that noise away. And you focus on playing football. Well, you've got to be committed to doing that. You've got to be committed to winning this league title. If you're going to go, but you want to go with that title medal, and you're committed to that, great. We all have your back here. If you're going to stay, come out and say you're going to stay. Because if you come out and say you're going to stay, if you come out and say you want to stay, number one, it gives the fan base a huge lift. Number two, it gets the entire fan base behind you. Because the reason people are treating him differently than Mo and Virgil has fuck all to do with the fact that there's different expectations on him because he's an academy player. It has to do with him not coming out and saying he wants to stay. Virgil has said he wants to stay. Mo has said he wants to stay. We know that if they leave, it's the club's fault. We know that. And yeah, people might get into minutiae about, oh, well, it was demands this, demands that, bollocks. They've said they want to stay. The club now have to get them to stay. He hasn't said that. He hasn't said it. That's why he's been treated differently. And when he puts in performances like he did yesterday, with the lack of effort, because we all excuse bad games, we don't excuse the lack of effort. That's why he's treated differently. If he came out and said he wanted to stay, it goes 180. And all the pressure's now on the club. These three lads want to stay. Fucking sort it out. Instead, it's these two lads want to stay. Sort it out. This fella seems to want to go. He's the bad egg. If Mo had stanked the place out yesterday, it wouldn't be the same as it is with Trent. Because Mo said he wants to stay, you wouldn't put it down to the fact that he's checked out, that his head is somewhere else. That's why it's different for Trent. But I think the senior players have got to get hold of him. I thought the manager did really well yesterday after the game. Came out, put up the shutters, and wouldn't allow himself to get dragged into any kind of commentary on Trent's performance. He will, I would imagine, have a very strong word with Trent, but he'll do it behind closed doors. He won't do it in public. He doesn't seem to get into criticizing individual players. He'll make the odd comment when it's needed, but it's more of a motivational thing than a hammering. I didn't think the manager did great during the game. Didn't think he reacted well to how Amorim had set up. I thought he let United have quite a lot of joy without making alterations. I thought Endo should have come on at half time for Curtis. And I would have pushed Gravenberch further forward because he was having joy running off the back of the United midfield. And we needed Alexis deeper because he was the only one linking the defence to the attack. Alexis is just better than Gravenberch. He's a better defensive player. He's better on the ball. He doesn't have the aesthetically pleasing dribbles, but he's just better on the ball. He's better in that double pivot. Endo would have given us some force and aggression in midfield. Like we just got out fought in midfield yesterday. Midfield was too soft. When Alexis McAllister's the toughest player in your midfield, you've taken a misstep somewhere. But they had loads of aggression. Ugarte was outstanding for them yesterday. And he put to bed the nonsense that he can't pass the ball, that he's not comfortable in possession. It's made those people look like fools who'd never seen him play before. Watched yourselves a game maybe where Sporting had 28% possession against Arsenal and his job was literally to run around, break up play and then quickly give it to others so that they could retain possession. But you haven't watched him regularly if you were coming out with the idea that he wasn't good enough on the ball. Ugarte's good on the ball. He's a very, very good player and he was great yesterday. None of us want Trent to go. Like, none of us want Trent to go. But that yesterday is unacceptable. And I think right now is probably the most I've been open to him going. And particularly going this month. I know, it's maybe a little bit irrational, but why not explore the right back market and see who's available right now? See what clubs are open to a deal. Would Spurs be open to a deal for Porro? Would PSG be open to a deal for Hakimi? Would Barca be open to a deal for Jules Koundé? That would be my first port of call, would be Jules Koundé. Because if they are, then go and do a deal for him. Because a deal for Jules Koundé potentially also sets up a deal to sell Luis Diaz to Barcelona in the summer. It solves Barca's cash flow problem and gets them below the wage cap so they can get Dani Olmo potentially re-registered, although who knows. So that might solve their problems. Then go to Real and say, right, 40 million. You've offered 20, we want 40. Eventually you'll meet in the middle at about 30. Koundé's going to cost 60. You've got a 30 million net spend. And that's right back solved. Now you've got Koundé and you've got Conor Bradley. And then maybe you call Wolves and say, look, you've got financial problems. You're bringing in one centre-back, but it's been pretty well documented that you want a couple more players in this window. So what about a deal for Ryan Aït-Nouri? And if you're worried about your left-back situation, with him going, we'll give you Costas Tsimikas till the end of the season on loan. And we'll throw in an option to buy, and if you like him, you can keep him for a reasonable price. And maybe you just solve both fullback spots. And a Kunde, Kanate, Van Dijk, Aït-Nouri back four is really fucking strong. Really, really strong. I don't know how we've gotten to a point where Aït-Nouri is almost being dismissed by some Liverpool fans who are banging drums for Milos Kerkez, who's a really, really good young player. But he's nowhere near as good as Aït-Nouri is at this point in time at either end. Aït-Nouri is a significantly better defender, and he's significantly better on the ball. Kerkez has a high ceiling, but so does Aït-Nouri. And maybe it's a snobbishness where, well, Aït-Nouri's at Wolves and, you know, look where they are. Where did we sign Andy Robertson from again? And Aït-Nouri's much, much better than Robertson was when we signed him. Much, much better defensively, much, much better going forward. I've gone very long on this. The Trent thing, it infuriated me yesterday. And we did roll, and I got more angry as the night went on. And I rewatched the game. I rewatched the game last night, and then started seeing all the clips popping up, and got more angry. And kept having to tell myself, we're still 6 points clear with the game in hand. The title is still ours. It's there to be won. We are 6 points clear with the game in hand. We are 10 points clear of Chelsea with the game in hand. 11 clear of Newcastle with the game in hand. 12 clear of City with the game in hand. 14 clear of Aston Villa with the game in hand. 22 clear of Spurs with the game in hand. And despite what happened yesterday, we have double the points of Manchester United. And we have a game in hand. We have 36 from 19. They have 23 from 20. Perspective. It is still ours to be won. We have the best attack in the league. We have the second best defence in the league. Joint second best, should point out. Credit to Nottingham Forest. They've done really well. And if they win tonight, they will go level on points with Arsenal. They'll be behind them on goal difference, unless they win 15-0, which doesn't seem likely. Yeah. Right. AnfieldIndex.com. There is a piece about Darwin Núñez being suspended for the most idiotic yellow card I've ever seen. It is absolutely brainless. And I didn't mind. He came on. He had a couple of good little moments. He had that one good carry. And then he just disappeared from the game. There's a piece about Virgil. There's a piece with some analysis about yesterday's game. There's a piece about Marcelo Pitaluga, who is leaving the club to join Fluminense on a free transfer, but we are getting a 40% sell-on clause. So, that could be worth some money in time. There's a piece about Jamie Carragher talking about our fullback issue. There is the post-match Raw. There is the Gags Tandon show with Marco Lopez making a return to Anfield Index. Always a delight. There is the David Lynch podcast. There is the Final Whistle pod from yesterday as well. And there is the Media Matters, which has come out today. It is Dave Davis and David Lynch. Give them all a listen. We'll have a Scouted coming later today. I don't know if it'll be released today, but it's being recorded today. And that's it. I will see you all tomorrow. Take care of yourselves. Enjoy your day. Bye-bye.
We hope you enjoyed listening to this Anfield Index show. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel so future podcasts find their way to your device automatically. There's nothing quite like fan engagement, and we'd love to know what you think of anything discussed on this show. The best way to get in touch is over on our free Discord community, where both podcasters and listeners debate the hottest LFC topics 24/7. Sign up free now at AnfieldIndex.com/Discord. You won't regret it. You can also follow us on Twitter at Anfield Index and find us on Facebook by searching for Anfield Index. Oh, and before you go, we'd love it if you could leave us a 5-star review on your favourite podcast app. It only takes a couple of seconds, and it means the world to the people who create these free shows.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.